Catalonia could be on track towards a referendum on breaking away from Spain. That's after separatist parties secured a majority in a key regional election. However, Catalonia's president saw some of his support drift away to rival pro-independence parties. RT's Andrew Farmer is in Barcelona and breaks down the results for us.
Well, as expected, Artur Mas has been re-elected as the Catalan president, albeit with a reduced majority. But the result does up the ante in terms of the region's battle for independence, and that's because Mr Mas will now be required to fulfil his pre-election promise of holding a referendum on secession, and that would place the region and him on a collision course with the Spanish government, because they say any referendum would be against the Spanish constitution. And what's more, the Prime Minister, Mariano Rajoy, will be desperate to keep hold of one of the country's wealthiest regions as he tries to stave off a European bailout. Why this all happened today and why people voted in this manner, it's probably because of the economic crisis. For many Catalans, this was the tipping point. They say that their region is very wealthy, it has an economy the size of Portugal's, but in terms of the number, in terms of the size of taxes they pay, it's much more to central government than they actually get back from Madrid in terms of investments in schools and hospitals. So they're annoyed about that, and particularly when you consider that unemployment here is around 25%. So if a referendum does happen, I suppose you could say that you would expect people to vote in favour of it, although I say that, those people who are against separatism do point out that if Catalonia does withdraw from Spain, it could also mean it has to drop out of the European Union, and not many people in Catalonia would be in favour of that if that turns out to be the case, and maybe they would prefer the status quo. So there are a lot of ifs and buts, but what we do know as a result of today's election, there is a growing sentiment of nationalism and a sense for independence here in Catalonia.
So, Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy warned Catalonia could be expelled from the EU if it gains sovereignty, but pro-independence activist Anna Ark says her region would be a vital part of the bloc.
We have the opportunity to cast the vote, to have our representatives in the parliament with this objective, and is to start the institutional process for the independence of Catalonia, which is a process that is not all based in economical, although everybody may believe that. Actually, the reasons are because what we want is the political independence, which means that we want to decide about the social political policies like immigration, education, commerce, tourism, culture, etc., etc., etc. Well, we have to understand that actually Spain now, all the Spanish state machinery are trying the fear campaign. Catalans, we are European citizens, and there's not such precedent that we would be out of the European Union. 7.5 million of people suddenly, you know how that would be more difficult actually to manage, to put all what is necessary to be out. It's not a consideration. We don't believe we're going to be out of the European Union, like Scotland are not going to be outside the European Union just because we are exercising universal rights, as is the universal right of self-determination. We're talking about democracy here.